Hello, I'm Gemma and this is Non-Fic Books, and today I'm doing a review video of a book that I totally forgot to put in my September wrap-up, and that is Kate Fox's Watching the English, The Hidden Rules of English Behaviour, and this was originally published in 2004 with the paperback in 2005, and that's by Hardin Stoughton. And it's a fairly decent read. It's 416 pages in total, and it's got pretty small font, so there's a lot of information contained in this little neat book. And unsurprisingly, it's an anthropological book on English behaviour. And Kate Fox is an anthropologist, and she is specifically studying the English. Here, English is not being used as a sort of catch-all for British or European or anything like that. It is just specifically English, because this is written around the beginnings of such a strong nationalist feeling being made more and more public, especially Wales and Ireland and Scotland very most recently. She's having a look at, is there or are there particular characteristics of the English, and are there anything that makes us specific or different? And she doesn't hold back. She has a look at a whole range of different things, and if she thinks as a group of people we do something, and I am English so I'm using the word we do something particularly well, she will say that, but if we're absolutely appalling at something, then she will say that too. Obviously, any book like this is all about generalisations. You can't write about large groups of people without being quite general. There will be individual scope within this, but they're overriding characteristics that are very identifiable, and she explores things into quite deep depth, having a look at not just our famous sort of obsession with the weather, but why this might be and what function the beginning conversations talking about the weather may actually provide. And it's absolutely fascinating. She looks at a whole range of different things, from pub behaviour, which she views as very, very important, and the social sort of dynamic and rules within pubs, and through to behaviour in public, behaviour on transport, in private life, what our homes say about us, our particular use of language and certain words, and through to food, sex, friendship, anything like that. So she does cover a really, really broad scope of life, and she does a few things that most English people will absolutely cringe when reading, because she does things like purposefully queue jump and purposefully bump into people and see how many English people apologise, which is pretty much almost everyone, even though you've been bumped into. Can certainly identify with doing that. And it's really, really interesting. She, throughout it, is drawing kind of conclusions after each chapter, and then at the end she does a big summary about what she really thinks are the defining characteristics of the English, because she does come to the conclusion that there are characteristics that can be said to be English. Not that no one else on the planet has these characteristics, but the sort of the mix of them and the importance of certain things are much more strong in most English people. And one of the big things running through is the sort of what she terms the social dis-ease that the English people have, and how that causes a lot of the other things that are sort of known as our sort of quirky particular traits, and the cause of many other people finding us very cold and unfriendly, and it's very difficult to get to know English people because they're so reserved. And it's a really fascinating book, and also how that causes this sort of over extreme where people then get very, very drunk and behave in a very, very obnoxious, over the top sort of way because of this social disease. And it's absolutely fascinating. I have read this and could identify with so much of it, whether it's judgments I make about other people or behaviour that I totally recognise in myself, and it just made me sort of nod along and even laugh out loud in places, because it was just so true in many, many places. Obviously, with it being general, I know a lot of people won't agree with everything said in this, but I think it's very intelligent and very well done. She certainly does explore things in a really nice depth and doesn't just leave surface judgments, which I really, really like, because anthropology is fascinating, but only if it's done sort of properly and in depth. And she's written a few other ones, like about pub behaviour more specifically, and race going and the etiquette and behaviour and what that says about people in racetracks, so I'll definitely pick up some of those in the future. But this book I just fell in love with. It was so easy to read, but really interesting, and I absolutely flew through it, and I have a queue of about 5 or 6 people who really want to read this now, because I think if you are English, you'll probably do what I did and nod along, because you totally know this behaviour and sort of see yourself doing it. And if you're not, if you're just an Anglophile, or if you're someone of a different nationality trying to get on in England and work out what the hell we're doing, and especially when the really big trait we have of saying one thing and meaning something totally different, this is a really good book if you want to understand English people and where they're coming from. And really, I just think everyone should read it. I think it's really well written, very funny, and definitely probably the best book I read in the last couple of months. So I really recommend this, and if you've got any questions or comments, please leave it down below. If you have read this, I'd really love to know what you think of it, and hopefully I'll see you in a video soon. Bye!